one of my best secrets for ensuring longevity regarding makeup for the wedding day is using a setting spray. And
Okay.
of course, everyone's like, yeah, throw that setting spray on at the very end. But no, I like to prep the skin, let all the skincare set and settle into the skin. And then before I apply foundation, I give the skin, the bare skin, a really great misting of setting spray.
Okay.
Let it develop on the skin, and then I'll put my foundation on top of that. And it just kind of adds this like extra, very thin layer of protection to prevent, the skincare or the natural oils breaking through onto the makeup.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a perfect little nugget. Hey there, podcast listeners. We have Emily Edgar from Emily Edgar Makeup with us today, and we're going to be talking about some preparation that you can do for your wedding. So, Emily has actually created an awesome guide called Bride's Guide to Beauty.
That's
and,
it.
and I'd love for you to share with us a little bit more about this guide and kind of why it's important to prepare for your wedding day in terms of beauty, not just like show up and sit in the makeup artist chair, for instance.
Yeah, definitely. Well, there are just so many different types of brides out there. There are brides that, have a ton of money to drop on their wedding and they're hiring all the vendors, all the professionals at like the top of their games. And then there's people who don't want to spend that much money on their wedding, have a smaller budget, or sometimes just feel more comfortable doing a little bit more DIY for certain things. And I just found that there was not really a source for brides to access that could help them prep in the beauty world. So I've been a makeup artist for over 15 years now. And, I was trained in Paris. I cut my young baby makeup artist teeth in New York City. So, and I've worked in a lot of different industries, from beauty and fashion to commercials. And one of my favorites, brides. And just from being a professional in the industry and a makeup artist and seeing what was out there on YouTube and Instagram, I just saw this hole that wasn't really prepping brides prior to them hiring a makeup artist and having the trial. So I decided to create the Bride's Guide to Beauty, which is a online platform that covers all things bridal beauty prep for the wedding day. So it's great for newly engaged brides. It's great for brides who've been, planning their wedding for a couple months now. I think that also I've gotten a lot of feedback that it's great for like non-brides or, already married women,
Yeah.
because there's just so much great content and information about, how to develop routines.
Mhm.
So what type of skincare you
I
want to
could
use.
take some tips here.
Yeah. And it's
It's
not,
the hardest thing for me, honestly.
yeah.
Personally, the skincare routines are really hard for me.
Yeah, routines in general, like day-to-day routines are hard. And it's the same for skincare. It's hard to implement something regularly. And then also the industry is just so overrun with products. It's like, what
Right.
is even important?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, like
Tell
what
me
are the
about it.
key things that you should use? Do you need 14 different steps? Do you need 20 different products? Those types of things. And, just from my experience as a professional, this is a really great workshop and kind of online course that will take a person through everything from A to Z for beauty prep. So we cover, developing a timeline for your beauty. When do you need to get your hair cut? When do you need to get your
Oh my
spray
gosh.
tan?
Perfect. I
Yeah,
would have never even, I've kind of thought about the spray tan, but getting a haircut is
yeah.
maybe don't make drastic changes or make
The
any color
number,
corrections or anything like that,
exactly.
right?
Totally. The number of brides that I have talked to that are like, I can't wait to get my hair cut. Like, I have really long, beautiful hair and I can't wait to chop it all off. It's things like that. Everybody feels that like draw in one way or another to make a big change whenever they're gearing up and leading up to a
Right.
really big life event. And, it's one of those things like, I'm all for doing whatever. If you want to shave your head for
Right.
your wedding, that's awesome. But like,
Right.
if this is an impulse feeling, then let's hold off and do it post, like
Right.
6 months before, set what your hair is going to look like for your wedding. And then 6 months up to the day of your wedding, you're just working on maintenance, like making sure it's glossy, making sure that it's cut, if you're having face framed, bits for the hairstyle, making sure that those are cut to the style of the hair. So
Right.
there's a lot of little details that you might not think about day to day, but this guide really helps you kind of like visualize them and realize which ones are important to you also, prioritizing what your needs are.
Yeah. Okay. Do you mind if we go through like maybe a handful or a couple to kind of a couple of
Sure.
the tips, kind of some areas? I mean, we could even just talk about the sections, just like you started with the, prep for the hair, prep,
Yeah.
when to timeline, when to do your spray tans, stuff like that. That would be fantastic if we could give a little extra
Oh
for
yes. I
everyone.
love giving a little like sneak peek into the
Yeah.
whole guide because there's just so much content and information here that like there's no way.
How many, what's it called? Like tutorials, or how many chapters is it? I guess is
Yeah.
the best way I can describe it.
So there are 50 videos,
Wow.
over 50 videos.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, maybe we could just go over it like a couple.
Yeah, I would love that. And honestly, it's one of those things where some people I've gotten some feedback that it's like, oh, this is a lot. I don't know if I'll be able to get through everything.
Right,
You
right.
don't have to. This is a fully self-paced program.
Hmm.
You can start with section one and go through it numerically, or you could decide you want to do section one and then jump to section four and then go back to section three, jump to section 10. Like you can really make it whatever you want, basically.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
let's dive in. What are
Okay.
maybe we'll top with like maybe the three most popular areas or the three most unexpected areas, whichever, something along those lines, whatever you think's best.
Totally. Well, I think the top three sections within this 10 section course that people are going to find most useful are going to be the skincare routines,
Mm-hmm.
the tutorials. So we've got 3 hour-long tutorials that kind of cover the top three looks for each bride.
Okay.
And then the challenges section.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
You created a
Mhm.
challenge section, like assignments.
Well, not exactly, but like
Okay.
challenges such as, let's say you have a huge zit. You wake up, your skin's been perfect, and the day of your wedding, you have like a huge zit
Oh,
on your skin.
challenges. Yes, that
Challenges.
makes way more sense.
I love that. So we can start. I can do a quick overview of like what the skincare
Sure, that would be
routine section
fantastic.
will be. This is section two in the course. And basically, this is going to be broken up into the most important skincare steps that you should be doing leading up for your wedding. But a
Okay.
secret hot tip, like day to day, this is completely applicable. You don't have to just be a bride to realize how important
Right.
it is to wear sunscreen.
Right.
So I talk you through the top three most important products. And the first one, of course, is going to be sunscreen.
Okay.
You know, not only do we love sunscreen because it's as close as we have to the fountain of youth, if you've been using sunscreen for a really long time, your skin is just in better condition in general. But also, skin cancer is like really awful and it's
Right.
very prevalent. So I talk you through sunscreen, why it's important, the different types, because you've got the chemical and the physical
Right.
sunscreens, who they might be best for, and then also putting it in the frame of mind of like what you should be wearing for your wedding day. Would a chemical sunscreen work better than a physical, and those types of things. And then we talk about face wash, which you might think is like a very obvious thing, but a lot of people skip it or they think that they'll use those micellar waters. Yeah, I know. Even I do. I skip it at night sometimes too because I'm just so tired. Like
Yeah.
I've got 2 young girls. This is not the
Right.
easiest thing in the world to manage. So,
Right.
but what's the difference between like a balm, a makeup removing balm, or an
Hmm.
oil or a cream? And like, when do you do that both in the morning and evening?
Right.
What kind of products do you use? All that stuff. And really the importance of like why you should be washing your face outside of like, we know it's a thing that we should do, but why? Because I feel like that really influences the reason that somebody might do something.
Right. Our habits.
Yep. And then we
Hmm.
talk about moisturizers. And this is like such a huge category because there's so many, there's like moisturizers for all the different skin types. There's moisturizers to activate and deal with different skin issues. So we kind of break down what a moisturizer is, the three different main groups of ingredients. So you've got occlusives, you've got hydrators, and emollients. And those three things are going to really be used. Different ingredients fall into those three different categories, and they're going to really influence the way that your moisturizer works, basically.
Interesting.
Yeah. And
Okay.
then we hop to like all the other additional things. So, stuff that I think is important to use, but it's not like a mainstay. So, if you're somebody that doesn't have time, effort, budget, anything for a huge routine, you can just set yourself up with those three things, and that's all you need.
Right. Hmm.
And then if you're already well established and you're kind of like a skincare maven and, racking up those Sephora points, if you want to add more steps into your routine or target specific
Right.
issues, we can go into like those skincare extras in a sense.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then the second most important section would be section 5, which is our tutorials. So we have the soft contoured beauty, the smoky diffused beauty, and the sun kissed glow. And those are kind of like certain ones will fall into super glam.
Mhm.
Certain tutorials will fall into really light and natural. But, depending upon the style of your wedding, the style of your dress, and how the bride herself feels comfortable wearing makeup,
Right.
you'll kind of fall into one of those categories because like you might be having a super glam wedding, but day to day you don't wear a lot of makeup.
Right.
And we also talk about ways to kind of like manipulate the look to work for each bride personally.
Right. That makes sense. So are these tutorials showing brides how to do their own makeup?
Yes.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
Cool. Awesome.
So basically, these are going to be tutorials. I am working on somebody else. So
Okay.
we're just basically practicing all of these great tutorials and looks. So we'll go through, I don't really talk specifically about brands or products, but I will talk about the texture and how a product will look and if it will be fuller coverage or lighter
Right.
coverage. That way you can kind of work within your own personal kit to see what you have that you could use for your wedding day versus,
Hmm.
you having to go out and buy a whole new set of makeup
Right.
for your own wedding day.
Hmm.
So basically, I'll just kind of speak to how this look works with the particular model's features and the particular model, the wedding that we're prepping her for. And we'll kind of just go through step by step everything from complexion all the way through to lips. So,
Okay. Awesome. That is so great. I
yeah.
actually have a friend that's a hair and makeup artist, and when I started doing more interviews and stuff online, I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And actually, it was really helpful to talk to someone because she's like, don't overwhelm yourself. There's like 3 things you really need to do, almost kind of like your skincare routine. And so
Mm-hmm.
that really just helped me feel better. Like, do I need to buy all these products? Kind of like you were just
Totally.
saying. And like, she's like, no, just do these 3 things and you'll feel really great and it will present well online. And so
Yeah.
I think this is such an awesome opportunity for people to kind of learn that too. And then also, I mean, obviously these tutorials are going to even give them a little bit more in depth about
Mm-hmm.
how to apply some of the products as well, it sounds like.
Exactly. And like that is the big key takeaway from this workshop is like the brides and women in general need to redefine beauty for their own standards and for
Hmm.
their own selves. So this is a thing where we talk a lot about you have the smoky diffused beauty tutorial, but how do you make it work for you? Are
Right.
you wanting it to be ultra glam or are you wanting to make it really light and natural? Are you feeling like you're a non-makeup person and you don't really have that skill and that technique? What are little things that you can do to achieve a similar look, but
Right.
without having to do the whole 10-step routine like that I display in the tutorial? So
Right.
it's really all about, manipulating the techniques and learning the techniques so that you can make it work for yourself.
Awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. Did you have one
Yeah.
more section that you wanted to chat
Yes.
about?
I think this is going to be the undiscovered gem of the whole online course.
Uh-huh.
This is the last, I think it's like section 8, and this is called beauty challenges. So,
Okay.
section 8, beauty challenges, is I think going to be really popular because it covers all things challenges that anybody might experience in preparation for their wedding day.
Okay.
So, let's say you've been doing your skincare routines, your skin has been looking better than it's ever looked before, and then all of a sudden, because of the stress leading up to the wedding, which everybody experiences,
Right.
you have a huge zit, on your wedding day. And you're
Uh-huh.
like, what? This is happening.
Yeah.
And so we just cover all things challenges. So we talk about acne, if you have an acne flare up, how to deal with it the day of. If you have
Okay.
kind of regular acne, how to deal with it leading up to the wedding day. We talk about longevity of the makeup, which is a big thing for brides.
Right.
How to
Yes.
prep your skin for the day of is very different than how you'll prep your skin day to day.
Okay. That's
So
awesome.
that's,
I have
yeah, that's,
actually a little side note in there. One of the questions that we get a lot, especially here in Las Vegas, is it's hot, or it can be. So this probably is something that's addressed in your challenges, like if it's going to be hot and you're going to sweat, maybe.
yeah,
And then the other thing too is longevity of the makeup on the day of the event, because sometimes you're not necessarily going to get your hair and makeup done, especially if you get it done by a professional. It's not going to be like the 30 minutes before your ceremony. And if you have a bridal party, right,
yep,
and you're kind of making it a whole thing, it's quite early in the morning
yep,
oftentimes. So I think that's a
absolutely.
super awesome tip. And I think there's going to be so many awesome nuggets of information in there, but please continue. I'd
Yeah,
love
of
to learn
course.
more challenges.
Yeah. Well, you bring up two really good points, like elopements and destination weddings are becoming really popular, now that we're able to travel again and everything. Those are really popular. And like, I'm from the Midwest, and let's say I'm getting married in the summer. My summers are hot and humid. So things
Right.
get sticky and wet and shiny like really fast. But if I
Yes.
am planning to have an elopement in Vegas, that area hot too, but arid and dry.
Yeah. Dry
So
lips
you,
get really dry,
yeah,
and yeah,
exactly. And like the same products that you utilize for your
at
daily
home.
skincare
Mhm.
in the Midwest aren't going to be the same products that will allow you to have that stability and that beautiful finish to your skin if you're going somewhere where the environment is going to be significantly different.
Yeah. So true. If you're
Yeah,
going
so that
somewhere
has
with
a
a lot of
lot to
humidity,
do.
your hair.
Yep. Yep. That skin prep has big influences on how well the makeup sets on the skin and how well it lasts. And then, the way that you prep your skin also adds to the longevity.
Right.
We also cover things like dark circles because
Ah,
everybody's got them
right.
for the most part, unless you're like a tiny baby.
Yeah.
And then we also cover hyperpigmentation,
Okay.
which some people struggle with. And then we have a whole section on lashes because when you're doing your own
Oh,
makeup, lash applications are really challenging,
I
to like
imagine.
get in there and like do it for
Especially
yourself.
if you're not doing it on a regular.
Yeah, exactly. If you aren't a person that's wearing false lashes day to day and you're not in that routine and have that like muscle memory of the technique, it's really
Mhm.
hard to throw them on that day.
Yeah, and they
So,
can be uncomfortable too, just a heads up. I don't wear them on a regular basis, but just a little plug is that from a photography standpoint, you're beautiful the way you are,
mhm,
100%. But lashes really do make a difference in the outcome
yeah,
of your photos. Like it just does this extra little thing. And so if there was nothing else I would recommend someone do, I would recommend lashes. If it was the
yep,
only thing you're going to do. Well, maybe lips too, right? But I feel
but
like lashes really add that
it's so
extra,
true.
you know? So
Yeah,
they don't
it's so
look as
true.
tarantula on your face if you're one that does on that minimal. I'm very minimal in the makeup department, so
Yeah.
I can relate with those folks. And so they feel weird,
Hmm.
but they translate so well
They do.
photographically.
And the reason why is because they add definition to the
Mhm.
lash line,
Got it.
And
Thank
so
you.
they open your eyes up because of the definition. And it's one of those things like I'm never going to force anybody to do anything specific
Right.
because my goal, especially with my clients that I'm doing makeup on, I want them to feel like themselves.
Right.
But if I ever get pushy, it's definitely in the lash department, where people are like, I don't know, maybe, maybe not. I'm always like,
Yeah.
let's just try it and I can take them off if you hate it because
Right.
it's true. It makes a huge difference.
It does. It
Yeah.
does.
And then the quality and like the style, there are so many different styles. And we go through like how to pick out ones that are going to look really beautiful, but also feel comfortable because they are out there. It's just knowing how to spot them and how to find them.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Emily, thanks so much for the information. How do we find this guide? Tell us
Yes.
more about
Okay.
that.
So you can visit us on Instagram. We've got a great Instagram page. We talk about the guide all the time, but also it's just a great source for all things beauty. So we
Right.
share a lot of our fellow industry mates and real weddings that showcase beautiful skin, beautiful, hair accessories, great
Okay.
makeup looks. So you can find us on Instagram at The Bride's Guide to Beauty.
Ooh, nice. I like
Yeah.
how simple it is.
Yes. And then if you want more information about the course itself, you can find us online at www.bridesguidetobeauty.com.
Awesome. That is so great. Thanks so much
Yeah.
for sharing information. Is there any little bonus tip takeaway that we can have?
A bonus tip takeaway. One of my best secrets for ensuring longevity regarding makeup for the wedding day is using a setting spray. And
Okay.
of course, everyone's like, yeah, throw that setting spray on at the very end. But no, I like to prep the skin, let all the skincare set and settle into the skin. And then before I apply foundation, I give the skin, the bare skin, a really great misting of setting spray.
Okay.
Let it develop on the skin, and then I'll put my foundation on top of that. And it just kind of adds this like extra, very thin layer of protection to prevent, the skincare or the natural oils breaking through onto the makeup.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a perfect little nugget. So then you put it on after too?
Yep. So
Okay.
I'll do 2 times the setting spray. So once before foundation goes on, and then once after everything's done and set, and then add a soft touch of powder because I don't like to do too much powder.
Yeah, totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. This has been a real joy, and I'm excited to check out the guide. And we'll actually list all of the links that she mentioned in the show notes, and definitely reach out. What's your other business's Instagram? I'd still love people to check you out there too,
Oh,
in case they
sure.
do want to hire a professional and they're in your region.
Absolutely. I have a presence on Instagram. You can find me at Emily Edgar, Edgar. And that's where all of my everything else goes basically. So I do a
Okay.
lot of commercial work, but a ton of bridal and beauty stuff as well. So you can find me there, just kind of like the day to day musings of a makeup artist.
Awesome. Well, thanks
Yeah,
so much for joining us.
of course. This was an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
You bet.